Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you this evening with a special examination. I've got Michael Komaroff here with me tonight, and we're looking at one of the beers that he sent me from Sixpoint. This is the Hyper Beam. It is a sour IPA with passion fruit, guava, and milk sugar, clocking in at 8.0% ABV. Usually Sixpoint lists the IBUs on their labels, but they don't on this one. It's hopped with Idaho 7 and Azaka. And I like the idea. I like the concept here. A sour IPA with the fruit in there and then the lactose to give it that creamy mouthfeel. That sounds really good. Hey, we've got Tyler Mansell in the chat. Cheers, Tyler.
Hey, Tyler.
And I'm sorry for the pale. I'm not normally this pale. This is just, I don't know how else to do this when I'm hosting a stream at night. The lighting in here is poor, and my screen is I got a new screen, so I promise I'm not albino. Okay, so thank you to Michael Komaroff for sending me this beer. I'm very excited about it. Any information you want to tell me that I may not know about the beer? I'm assuming this one is like
it's a limited release, so you wouldn't see this in your local area. That's why I sent it to you.
Okay.
And it's new enough that the hops are still pretty fresh because I've had one already. So
okay, yeah, they've got the canned on December 18th. So yeah, only a few months old.
Now, one thing I know you like is the sour end. So we'll see what you think of the sour end of this beer.
It smells really good. It just smells like a straight sour, honestly. I'm getting the passion fruit, the guava. Let's see. The hops are, like I said, the Idaho 7 and Azaka. I don't really know how to differentiate between those two hop varieties, but there is a little bit of a citrus hop note coming through as well.
Let me see if I'm getting anything else.
Smells good.
It's a nice, refreshing kind of smell.
Yeah, very refreshing. You can tell it's going to have a nice tartness to it. One thing that, I mean, you can't tell from the aroma or just the appearance, the milk sugar, the lactose in there, that'll be interesting to see how that comes into play on the palate.
I also think because they do add the lactose to it, that it affects the carbonation, that you'll notice the head is very limited. You see your head is just mine's just a
yeah,
thin,
the head that
it started out a little bit bigger, but then it just totally went to total thing.
Right. So the Sixpoint beers that we get down here are, I think, brewed in Memphis. This one actually came from the Brooklyn brewery, which is the original brewery.
Right.
And it's, like you said, it's a limited. You can always tell the Sixpoint beers that are actually brewed at the original brewery. On the barcode, they have the Statue of Liberty, which is pretty neat on the actual barcode.
Right, and on their national ones, like the ones that are brewed, and I think they're also brewed in Pennsylvania too. Some you have to look at your labels.
Pennsylvania, because they made the deal because Victory Brewing is out of
the artisanal ventures deal.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to take a sip?
I am ready. Yeah, it smells delicious. And by the way, no alcohol presence. I don't know if we mentioned that on the aroma at all. At 8%. Cheers. Yeah, that's nice. So you're getting the fruit right up front. That passion fruit flavor is probably the predominant note that I'm picking up on. It's definitely got a sour punch to it. Very, very tart. The guava kind of maybe in the background a little bit, but the passion fruit is the main flavor that's coming through. Let me get another sip here. I'm not getting anything that would make me think of lactose, milk sugar.
You know what it seems like, John? This style, the lactose doesn't make it creamy, which it does in other beers that we've had before.
Right. And I'll be honest, too, it does have a little bit of a hop presence, a little bit of like a tangerine citrus, maybe a slight pineapple even because you're getting that passion fruit, which they actually add to the beer, but I think maybe a little bit pineapple, tropical, citrus notes from the hops. But if you just gave me this beer and you didn't tell me that it was a sour IPA, I would probably just tell you that it's a really good sour ale with a little bit more of a hop. It doesn't taste like an IPA to me. It tastes like a sour.
I'm with you. It's almost like, I guess they're calling it an IPA maybe because maybe they call it a tropical IPA. They didn't, but maybe that's what it is.
Right.
A tropical style IPA.
Well, so I haven't had a lot of these sour IPAs, but the one that comes to mind is the Giacomo from Abita. They have a sour Giacomo ale, which is a soured version of the regular Giacomo beer, which is an IPA, an Imperial IPA. So that one had the sour notes, but it was still pretty obvious that it was a sour IPA because the hops were really like in your face. With this one, not so much. The hops are kind of there to cut through some of the fruit notes and the sourness of the beer itself, but it just doesn't present like a normal, like some of the other sour IPAs that I've had, which, like I said, I've had a very limited amount of those beers, but this one drinks, if you're not an IPA guy and you just like sours, I think you'd like this.
Well, I knew right away when I tried this that it would be up your alley because you're definitely a sour type guy. You like sour ales anyway. So this I knew you would like. And on top of it, you're also into tropical too. You like passion fruit. You like those flavors. You like guava. So you're not going to be turned off. Some people don't like tropical.
Right. Yeah, no, this is really good. Let me I've got a little bit more in here. I'm going to do a little swirl port, see if I can get some kind of a head going here. Sometimes with the lactose beers too, you get the lactose will settle on the bottom, so maybe it'll thicken up a little bit. The nectar, as they call it, on the bottom.
You generated a head.
It did generate a head, and as you can see, it kind of darkened in the appearance a little bit. Let's see if it makes any difference with the. So the aroma's about the same.
Take another sip and see.
Okay. So I am getting a little bit of the lactose now. Cheers to you, Jeremy. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, a little bit of the lactose. I still wouldn't say that it's really got that, a very creamy mouthfeel. I think it's because of the fruit and the hop varieties that they're using in here. And especially, when you drink an IPA, you're not thinking of a creamy. It's right. Not really within the guidelines of the style to have a super creamy IPA. Sometimes with the New England IPAs, you'll get a little bit of a creamy mouthfeel. And some of the ones that I've had, they actually add lactose to them. But this is like on another level. It's a unique beer. It's not really like any IPA I've ever had. It's definitely got the sour part of down. I mean, it's like I said, it drinks like a sour beer. And if you're not a fan of IPAs or even sour IPAs, if you've had a lot of sour IPAs and you don't like them, you might like this one because it drinks more like a straight sour ale.
That's true. And the alcohol is also well hidden. It doesn't taste like an 8%.
It drinks like a session sour, honestly. I would say the mouthfeel is kind of on the high. It's not quite into medium for me, but it's like right there on the cusp.
Right. It's almost medium.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy, I think you'd probably really like this one. It drinks just like a sour. The alcohol's well hidden. The fact that they put the lactose in there, I'm kind of getting that a little bit since I did the swish and pour. It doesn't necessarily have a creamy mouthfeel, but it's got a very smooth mouthfeel, which I'm attributing to the lactose. Because a lot of times with sour beers, you get the that super sour punch and that mouth puckeringness. With this one, you get the sour, but you're not getting that extreme mouth puckering, almost borderline unpleasant on the inside of your cheeks feeling. And I think that's coming from the lactose.
And if you're looking for an aftertaste, it's all passion fruit.
Yeah, my only complaint really with this beer would be that the guava kind of falls by the wayside. I'm not really getting any guava.
So the passion fruit is the lead taste in it.
It's like a passion fruit sour ale is what it is to me. Cheers to you, Tommy Carroll. Thanks for stopping by. Absolutely, yeah. Let's see. So this is a tough one because if you're going by, all right, it's a sour IPA. It doesn't drink like an IPA. So do you dock it because it doesn't drink like an IPA? I personally wouldn't, because I love sour ales and it's a beautiful sour ale. But if you're going into it, if you're looking at the label and you're like, "Ooh, a sour IPA," you may be disappointed because it doesn't necessarily have the hoppiness that you would expect. But
maybe you can deal with it as a hybrid kind of item,
right?
Where no matter how they describe it, you take it as you're tasting it, kind of.
Right. Cheers to you, BC. Was it BC over there with you guys on the Wild?
There. Jeremy was too.
Oh, Jeremy and BC. Wow, I have to go back and watch
You'll
have to watch
the replay. It was a good replay. Like I said, Ken had a good day. Other than that, everybody else seemed like they were all getting into it. Ken must have been drinking from earlier, I guess.
I guess if it is St. Patrick's Day, so it's allowed. And if I didn't have to work today, I probably would have started a little bit earlier, and might be feeling pretty good right now.
Now, overall, compared to the other 6 points you've had, because you have had at least a couple of their IPAs, would you say this is the same quality level?
Definitely same quality level as all of the IPAs that I've had from 6 Point. The thing that I'm conflicted about is how to rate it, because it's not. I wouldn't classify it as an IPA. I would just classify it as a sour ale because that's what it drinks like. As far as sour ales are concerned, it's definitely in the A range. I think I'm going to knock off a couple of points just because I'm not getting the IPA qualities. But overall, it's still going to be good enough to definitely be in that mid A range, which I'll sip on it a little bit more here before I actually give my rating. But it's definitely an awesome beer. It's just one of those that I'm more of a sour lover than anyway. But if it was more of a IPA and didn't have the sour notes, I'd probably be more disappointed. But the fact that it's got that passion fruit, it's got that sour punch, that works for me.
Okay, so as you're sipping on it, let's discuss the other beers I sent you. The second IPA type that I sent you would have been the one that's going to be a little bit more on the hoppy edge, a little bit more on the bitterness edge.
Double dry hopped.
Trying to think of what the front is. DDH. I have it in the refrigerator over there.
And then, of course, you sent me the stout. Now, the stout is probably the one I'm most excited about. That coquito.
Right. I also did send you another Black is Beautiful, because unfortunately that review went by the wayside, not to any fault of yours, but we could do another review of that as well.
We can. And don't forget, also, we've got some of the beers that we've got the Panther Cup from Founders.
And we have a pontoon. There's a pontoon left as well.
The Fluffy Otter. Yes, the Fluffy Otter. But yeah, the Panther Cub is one that a lot of people can get. I know with the co-op being the way that they are with not carrying Founders anymore, it's a little bit harder for you to come by. So I wanted you to get that. And Miscellaneous, Bumpy, and somebody else. So there's 3 or 4 other people interested in that. So we can do an examination of that and kind of include other people as well. And I think that would be a great one to do. Whiskey Scout was talking about it. I think that would be a great group examination because, Founders make such wonderful barrel-aged beers, and that one is no exception. So
now we could also do the Cojito Cowboy together, but that involves 15.4%. So maybe we could do it over a longer period of time. We could do it on a Wednesday night, but maybe one where I wouldn't do wild card, or I would do something lighter. Today I did Guinness Extra Stout to 5.6 just because it's from Dublin, and I was the only one who did that. Everybody else was just straight wild card.
Right.
Chatio came on with Killian's Red and gave it 50 out of 100.
What?
He hated it. He says now, since Coors has been brewing this last stuff, he says it's awful. Now, I admit I've had Killian's Red even since Coors brewed it, and I never thought it was that bad, but maybe they've let down. It's possible. He said it was up
I wonder, did he look at the date? Was there a date on it?
The date was fine. He's in Colorado where they brew it. So he just maybe they have let down. Maybe, whatever. He said it was awful. Now, 50 is the lowest score I think I've ever seen anybody give anything.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, that's a straight failure.
That's an F. There's no
Doesn't get much better.
I heard somebody go, I'll give it a 65, a D plus. I mean, that's 65 is sounds like to me it's an almost F, not a D plus. But however BC gave it 7.5 out of 10, but did not re-regulate the system, so he gave it a 75. Now, to me, when you're using that other system, you have to recalculate, because on 100 it has to go up. So to me, a 7.5 should at least be a B. But whatever, everybody has their own system, and whatever. D1, there's D1.
Cheers to Drunken One. He's calling you sexy, I guess, and I'm John.
Hey, D1.
Hello, Drunken One.
Let me show Drunken One the beer, because he may not be looking.
He ain't paying any attention to this, I guarantee you. But there it is. There it is, Drunken.
Drunken One's just getting on the fact that we're here together doing it. He doesn't care what we're doing.
I was hanging out with Drunken One before the live stream. I just doing a little off air because I was too late for the wild card. I didn't have any cheap wine, so I was just it was me, miscellaneous Drunken One. We were just doing a little off air thing, so I got to talk to him a little bit, and he knew we were doing this.
But I'm happy you do like it, because it's important.
I do. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a very high rating. Like I said, I don't personally have any complaints about it, but so the fact that it's more on the sour side makes me happy. But if I was an IPA guy and I was like, I was expecting more of an IPA style with a little bit of sourness, then I would be disappointed, because it drinks like a sour, not like an IPA.
I'm with you. I am absolutely with you.
But this is really good. It's got, and we talked about the alcohol being masked well. The lactose does come into play a little bit. I think it cuts through some of the sourness and just kind of smooths it out. It doesn't quite give it that creamy mouthfeel, but it's really a well balanced beer. The hops are not non-existent.
There are hops here.
They're definitely there. You're definitely getting a little bit of the citrus hop notes, and it does have a little bit of a bite on the finish to kind of balance out that initial sour punch that you get. So in that regard, it is well balanced, and I really like this. This is probably the best sour IPA I've ever had. I've only had 3 or 4 in my beer drinking life, but this one is probably my favorite, just because it drinks more like a sour. And as everybody out there that watches my channel knows, I am definitely a huge sour ale kind of guy.
I knew you had to have. You knew you had to try this.
Right. Yeah, this is a good selection. I appreciate it. The label's pretty cool too. I don't know what they're going for there, but it looks like it's got that mad scientist vibe going on there.
Right, and you got his full smiley face kind of look there.
Right.
Weird too. I was impressed when you poured the sediment from the bottom of the can and it regenerated its head too, which is a sign of a quality beer as well.
Yeah. Cheers to you, Josh.
Josh.
You rock as well, Josh. Appreciate you. All right. Well, I'm ready. I think I know what I'm going to rate this.
You can go first.
I'm going to give this a 97. which is just under the world class, like 98, 99, 100 or in that world class range for me. It's just under world class, and the reason it's getting points deducted is because it doesn't have enough IPA qualities. It drinks like a sour, like a hoppy sour ale, but it's not in that IPA range. So I've got to deduct a couple points for that, but it's right there. It's one of the best. Just take away the IPA part. It's just one of the best sour ales that I've had in a while, especially at 8% for the alcohol to be masked as well as it is, and just to drink so smooth, to drink like a borderline session ale, I think is really impressive. That they did a really good job with this. So 97 out of 100 for me.
Okay, I am going to concur and give it a 97 as well. I've had Sixpoint beers that I have given 98s and 99s to, like some of the stouts that they do brew. But this is on the edge of being right there. I'm with you.
Right. Okay, perfect. And this is one.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is one, as it's warming a little bit, we've been going for over 20 minutes now. I wouldn't say that this one really changes with temperature, but it definitely changed when I did the swish and pour. So you want to make sure you get all the goodies out of the bottom of the can, because it actually improves it a little bit, I think.
I think you're right. Now, I'll be interested when you and I do the Cojito Cowboy, because the first one that I had, I did find to be a little bit on the sweet side because of all that, the combination that it had of all the different, items in it. And I've since had another one. I like the second one better. So it's almost like you like it to be sweet, but I just want it to stay away from becoming cloying. Sometimes when you get to the higher alcohol levels, it's on an edge, whatever. But it's definitely a well-manufactured beer, and I think you're going to like it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I will. It sounds right up my alley, and I think isn't it aged in rum barrels instead of bourbon barrels? It's got
it's aged in rum barrel, so you get that which is different than bourbon or rye barrels. Some of the other stuff we have.
I've had a couple of rum barrel aged beers in the past. I had a rum barrel aged oatmeal stout from a small craft brewery in Alabama. I think it was Gadsden, Alabama. And it was called Barrel Runner, and it was awesome. I think you get the barrel notes from the wood, but the fact that they're using the rum instead of the bourbon, you get a little bit more sweetness. So somebody like me who likes sweet stouts, that sounds right up my alley. But like you said, with the higher, it may be right there on the like the border of being like between just sweet enough and too sweet, but I don't know. It sounds amazing. And if anybody out there's ever had a Coquito drink, it's based off of so basically a Coquito it's like eggnog, but instead of the egg component, they use coconut milk and sweet condensed milk to make it. So there's no egg in it.
Right. And you will notice when we do it, there is coconut in it, which is another one of your favorite.
I love coconut.
John holds coconut close to his heart, and if you taste coconut and beer, you start really liking that combination. So you can get some of the coconut in it. It's not the lead flavor, but it's there too, and it's interesting. And you know that I'm not a big fan of the Oscar Blues coconut item. You know the beer I'm talking about, and I do. I didn't hate it. I found the coconut to be artificial taste.
I think that's one. I think that's one that maybe you should revisit. And the reason I say that is because now I've had a really great experience with it. But I remember Ron Terrio or Jay was talking about the one from 2020 that he got, and he didn't like it. I think he gave it a C. But if you look at his review from 3 years before that, he gave it like a 97. So it sounds to me like Oscar Blues may have some quality control issues.
I would definitely try it again. I mean, I can get Oscar Blues at the food co-op, so I'll start looking again. Is that a year-round item now, or is it?
It is a year. It's a limited release, but they put it out every year, just like Founders does with a lot of their, limited release stuff. So it is a yearly. I think every year around August or October, somewhere in that fall, part of the year they put it out. So
I'll look for it again. Now, when's the next time you're going to go up to Atlanta and try Trader Joe's out again, or does that depend on the pandemic?
Honestly, I don't want to be anywhere near Atlanta right now.
I know, especially now they're taking out people. I mean, it's really
there was a whole thing. I don't know if you heard about. I had to hear about it from somebody else, and I looked it up. But there was there were 8 salon shooting in Atlanta, and there's all kinds of protests, which has been going on. The Black Lives Matter protests and the protests that are basically holding up traffic and down. So you don't want to be driving in downtown Atlanta if you can help it, because you never know what kind of protests are going on. But I think it was just 2 or 3 days ago, 8 people were shot. 4 of those people got killed. It was some crazy guy just going to different nail salons shooting people.
Well, it was actually massage parlors that were connected to nail salons. So this guy was some kind of sexual freak, and he decided, because he didn't want them to do it anymore, that he would just take out a whole bunch of people. So, and he was taking off on I-75 South, heading to Florida. He had another city in Florida. He was going to do the same thing, but the Georgia State Patrol was good enough that they had a description of his plate. And once they saw it, then they were able to stop him. But he still didn't kill. There's still somebody in the hospital too. They're going to survive. But it said most of the people were Asian, so they thought that maybe it was a hate crime. But it looks like he would have taken out anybody who was in the massage parlor. So really, he wasn't specifically killing them because they were Asian. But if you look at the names in the newspaper, most of the names are Asian people. I guess those in nail enamel shops and massage parlors, it's mostly Asians who work there, is the way it works out.
Enjoyed the show you guys did today. Sorry I only got to watch some because of work.
He must be talking about the earlier show that maybe Beer Man did.
Beer Man, or maybe even the Wild Card Wednesday. I don't know. Yeah, today being St. I obviously work today, but I get notifications on my phone. I got like 20 notifications, like everybody that I know on YouTube went live today at some point. So it's a very popular day for beer enthusiasts to go live on YouTube, because it is, after all, St. Patrick's Day, and a lot of people had the day off. I did not, but
it's a big drinking holiday for almost everybody who drinks. You don't have to be Irish to enjoy it as a it's a fun day to just have a good time. It's like Cinco de Mayo for Latino people, and you have a good time, and that's it. Trying to think of other beer-related stuff that's going on. My next one is 2 weeks from tomorrow, and it's going to be during Passover, so Gail will not be here. But what's it called? Bryce, my daughter's fiance, is going to come. And it's cool when he comes. You saw him that one time when we did the review, Chris. It's cool when he comes.
Oh yeah, Bryce's fiance. Yeah, yes, I've met him on a couple of occasions. Yeah,
he's like a young. Also Eric, this other guy who comes, is pretty young too. But it's like he's giving us a different perspective. He's into IPAs. He also likes stouts, and it's like somebody who gives a different perspective. Because we have the regular group that comes all the time. He's off that week. He's a teacher, so he's off that week. That's their Easter break, and he doesn't have to work the day after on the Friday because he's off. So he'll come over with my daughter. She's not into beer, but she'll just hang out. She may taste some of the beer, but she's not into it. And it'll be a good opportunity, at least, because Chris will be different. So we'll have another perspective in the group. Right. And it'd be interesting, which is a good thing. I'm getting actually down, and my head again faded, but it had come back.
Yeah, I'm down to the bottom here of mine as well.
What are you finding when you're looking, John? You go to Peachtree City to look for beer. Has your place gotten the same or better in terms of how many beers they're handling? When you go to look, you see new things?
All the time. I see new things all the time. That's one of the reasons I love to go out there. Brandon's Package in Peachtree City. Shout out to them. It's a smaller store, but they have got an entire wall of nothing but local Georgia craft beers, and then they have another row of coolers with all the other craft beers from the U.S. that we get. So obviously they're promoting heavily with the local craft beer scene, which I love. We got some great craft breweries here. But then we've started getting some of the Sixpoint. We get Boulevard. We get Founders. So we get all the big name craft brews as well. And the people that work there, I know them on a first name basis. When I go in there, they know that I love to spend money there. So they're always they always tell me all the new beer that's in, and they make recommendations based on what they've tried and what they haven't tried. And they've kind of gotten to know me. They know that I'm a stout guy because I'm always in there buying stouts, and for Stout Sunday, they know I love sours, so they'll lead me in the right direction. And I'm one of those guys too that's always willing to. They're like, "Hey man, we've got a banana sour porter or something." Correct? I was like, "Okay, sign me up. I'll try that." So I'm always trying new things, and it's a great, we have a great selection here. So to answer your question, yes, it's a wonderful selection. Every time I go in there, they've got new stuff. So it's a beer, craft beer enthusiast paradise.
That's good. I was looking on YouTube yesterday, I think at night when I was watching after Audrey went to sleep, at some of your older reviews of the different Bourbon County beers that you've reviewed. And I found at least 3. There may have been a 4th one, but there were at least 3 that were there. I knew about some of them. One is the Bramblewood one.
The Bramble Rye, which was a raspberry.
And then there was one that was the one that had the Mexican. Was there a Mexican one?
The Cafe de Olla, which was made with the cassia bark, which is basically Spanish cinnamon, and but very similar to the birthday one this past year. But yeah, I've
had any variants from this new year. I have not had my 2020 either. We were waiting for you to get one if you did, so we could do a group one. But so far,
which I have not yet. I kind of feel weird messaging this guy about it because I don't know him well. But Miscellaneous has the 2020 there, so I could probably just pay him to send me one if I really wanted one.
Still get them? Because it seems like here they're not on the shelves anymore. Now, again, I know in some places it doesn't sell as well as others.
Miscellaneous still gets a lot of them. He bought a bunch. He was telling me earlier he bought one of the vanilla ones. He bought another 2018 one. Like, he's got them from all different years that he can still find.
In Florida, where he is, I guess the interest is not that much for that type beer. Here, the stuff comes out, it's there for a couple of weeks, and then it's gone. You don't
Plus,
see it.
It's a hotter climate in Florida, so maybe people aren't really seeking out stouts like they do in other states. I
was watching a Darwin beer review on the 2019, and he didn't seem to like it on the straight. What's it called? The Bourbon County.
It's the straight Bourbon County. Yeah.
It's not like he didn't give it an A, but Darwin's been known to give 98s and 99s, and he gave it like a 94. So for him, that was, he didn't like it as much. He didn't find it to be as good.
Yeah.
You did have
one thing. You're talking about some of these older beer reviews of the Bourbon County. If you go to my playlist and you go to other examinations and scroll down, about half of those are just the two of us, and we examine. I call it like another Bourbon County examination. When you do the regular Bourbon County, in one of those, I reviewed the 2018 wheat wine that I bought in Louis. So they're not individual reviews, but you and I did a lot of the Bourbon County examinations where I didn't have the standard variant, but I had the wheat wine, or I had the birthday beer, or the Bramble Rye, or whatever. Some of the variants that fell into that under 14% range. we actually examine. We've done a lot of Bourbon County examinations.
Those still exist, or did those get wiped out when the other ones went?
No, some of the older ones. If you go to that playlist on my channel and you look back a little ways, you'll see a lot of that. We looked at a lot of Bourbon County. I should have titled them a little bit more specifically. I just said like
2 years ago.
Yeah. They're still. All of those are still there. Yeah.
Okay, because it seems like in that bad stretch when you lost it, we had done quite a bit of the recent stuff.
We did too. Yeah, but that was all within like the last 5 months. So all the ones that we did prior to that are still there.
Well, that's good, because that's some of the classic stuff between us, which I do. It's funny, at night I'll do other stuff first, and then I'll say, well, for nostalgia value, I go back and I look at Georgia Beer Reviews, and I see something, and it's funny now, and I should mention this. William Kepley, I think he's dropped off the face of the earth, and I hate to say it, but he may be gone, because it's reached the point. I kept trying to make, sending him stuff and whatever. And after you reach a certain point, when it's like 3 or 4 months, you kind of start wondering. And I hope it's not true, but I think,
and there's it's unfortunate. And William Kepley, if you're still out there and you're watching this, we love you. Contact us. Let us know you're okay. But he had he's not married. But his mother passed away years ago.
Right.
He had his neighbor that would check on him every once in a while. So even if something did happen to him, his neighbor, there's no way to contact him. We don't know.
You didn't ever meet any of his family members?
He doesn't have any. He has no living family.
I'm sure he has aunts and uncles and other people.
Well,
like that.
Maybe, but yeah, I mean, there's no way I don't know who they may be.
I'm saying we wouldn't know who they are.
We wouldn't know who to contact to inquire about it.
I was even to the point where I was checking death records in his town.
I was looking at obituaries for a while. I actually didn't you call in a wellness? You found out his address and you called in a wellness check?
I did, and they said they would follow it up, but they didn't say they'd call me back, so I don't know what happened. So all we can do. He's definitely missed, because he was the kind of character, and you did meet him once. I never met him, but he was a San Francisco Giant fan like me, which I found out later. And he was into baseball. He was a sports guy. But on top of that, he was a beer guy, and he was really well acquainted with all the styles. And his review with you on one beer is still there on the Georgia Beer Reviews. So there is one when you went down to see him that's still there. Now, he obviously was just recently out of his whole situation in the hospital, because you could see his face is more gaunt and he wasn't completely better. But when we saw him in later times when he came on, he was feeling better, I thought, but maybe,
Right. Well, yeah, he everything medically seemed to be good. His cancer had gone into remission. He had gotten this, everything seemed good, but I don't know. Who knows? Michael, I'll be right back. Then we'll close this up. Talk for about 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
To everybody who is still on, this is a continuation of the Georgia Beer Reviews, Michael Komaroff get-togethers, discussing Sixpoint beers now and Georgia beers at other times. So these are steady get-togethers, and usually it's on Wednesday evenings following Wild Card Wednesday, now on Eric's Massachusetts Beer Reviews, and sometimes on Jay's Louisiana Beer Reviews when he's doing styles and items which I find interesting or things that I can deal with. Because otherwise, when I was saying to the audience, when Jay does red wine, cheap red wine, chiladas, I'm just personally not into it. I'm not against if he wants to do that and he thinks it's okay, it's fine. Look, I'm not
right.
Nothing wrong with it. He has not done a hard alcohol review, but I'm sure at some point he will, where everybody will have hard alcohol, and that's fine too. Whatever you're into.
Right. Yeah, like tonight I noticed. I mean, I wasn't able to join the earlier streams, but I noticed that Eric had a full panel, and I'm pretty sure it was just Jay and James P. Madonna. So
but the truth is, John, if you looked at who was on Eric's panel, it's all the regular people from Malty Monday, Cheese Tuesday with
right.
And they were the main people, and some others. It wasn't just that.
And I know, I'm sure Jay understands that when he gets like some of these topics just aren't going to be interesting to people. I mean, I'm interested in cheap, and I think it was cheap white wine, which I'm not a white wine kind of guy.
He changed it to cheap red wine, and cheap white wine is going to be done later because he decided that red wine. Maybe James P. Madonna wanted red wine. So that way for sure he'd have a second person. But he did change it because originally it was cheap white wine. And then
so it was cheap red wine tonight. So, I mean, yeah, and that's fine. I'll join for the Chilada thing because I've already got one.
That's coming up in 2 weeks. I think he's got something different next week.
Yeah. What did before we get off of here, I did not see what won the poll. Is it the oatmeal stout or the Vienna?
The Vienna Lager won. And
so it came back.
Only won by one vote. And it's interesting because I think Jeremy's group really helped win it. Jeremy has a big time following, if you're wondering. Jeremy,
he does.
His people were voting for Vienna Lager, and that helped it. But it's still, the other one was popular enough that it was within one vote. Which, look, I have both of them, and I also have the English Porter, which is going to be coming up one of these times. I bought both of those from Sam Smith. So I have an English Porter and the stout, which was an oatmeal stout from Samuel Smith. So I'm ready whenever those do win. But this week it's Vienna Lager. I can show you what I have quickly.
Vienna Lager, though, that's one everybody can find. Even last minute, you go to a gas station and pick up a can of Sam Adams.
This came in my Beer Guild 12-pack that I ordered. It just worked out that one of them was a Vienna Lager. This is from KCBC, which is a local Brooklyn, it's Kings County Brewery Cooperative. And this is their El Tren Rapido. And it's a Mexican style Vienna Lager.
Huh. Okay.
And Mexican style.
A lot going on.
You like the label?
Yeah.
Cool. A lot of colors.
I've
been to this. It's a pub too. It's a brew pub as well as selling cans of the beer. I have this and I have another one, and I think let me see what the other one is from the same thing. The other one that I have, I finished it already too. I had a fruited sour from them at 7% also. So they make everything. They make IPAs as well. So I have this for next week. But otherwise, if you want to just finish off.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and close this out. I want to thank, of course, you, Michael, for sending me the wonderful beer. Really enjoyed it. We both agreed. It's a 97 out of 100, which is it's an outstanding beer, getting up there towards world class. Sixpoint has not let me down yet. It was no exception. A wonderful beer, but very limited release. So you've got to be up in New York more than likely to be able to get your hands on this one. But definitely worth checking out if you can get the Hyper Beam. It is a wonderful sour IPA, more on the sour side. So if you love sour beers like I do, I don't really think you'll be disappointed at all. Thanks to the wonderful chat for joining tonight. We had a lot of good comments tonight. Really appreciate it. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Hope everybody out there is having a good one. Be responsible. And we'll see you all on the next one. Tune in to Stout Sunday. We'll be back on my channel this weekend. So back to the regular schedule for that. Hope to see you all there. And we will see you all in the next one. Until then.
Everybody, happy St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy.